Your house in the middle? Well, leave it alone.
Oh,
Tons of room.
smart.
Live,
You know,
Okay,
Let's go.
okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order, but before I do anything, I just want to make sure everybody understands that the meeting is being taped live and it goes on our website as we do every meeting, so in case you get bored, need to fall asleep later, you can rewatch any comments that you might want to say. So please take proper decorum and when you do speak. First thing on the agenda is to call the meeting to order, and we normally stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. So,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
next thing is Bob Bruno's going to sing the national anthem.
here.
Yeah. You hear a song?
Oh, yeah, it's his phone speaking.
Okay, can I get a approval of the agenda for today?
Move second.
Any discussion, additions to the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion for the approval of the minutes from the April 13th and the May 4th solar workshop?
So second.
Okay, it'll be Fred and Tony. And then any discussions on those minutes? Any additions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is public to be heard, and this is just a normal Thursday afternoon. So we normally, if everybody has the opportunity to speak, we do limit to a 3-minute person per person, but if you want one person to speak for everyone, I'll give you as much time as you need. Also, we're not allowed to have a discussion back and forth. It's for you to give us your comments, and then we will talk about any further actions after that. And a board member can bring a motion to the floor to take action on any comments that you have. Okay, so would anybody like to speak? Please address your, come up to the podium, whatever, and put your name in the record so that we can record it.
Okay. When you ready?
Ready?
All right, so my name is Caleb Slater. I've come here today as the candidate challenging Rachel May for the New York State Senate with solutions for your town here in Owasco. I want to, over the course of this next 2.5 minutes, give you a little bit of a bio about myself, the connection that I have for the town of Owasco and Cayuga County. I want to talk about the crisis that we're facing from energy, talk a little bit about the solar panels that you'll be talking about today, some solutions for the fire department in Owasco, and the importance of constituent services. So I've got 2 minutes left, a little bit of a brief bio to me. I am the Cayuga County candidate. I was a graduate of Cayuga Community College in 2018. I lived in Auburn for over 5 years. I started my professional career in sales, working for Jane Fox and Fox Honda. And I currently live in Onondaga County, and I work in the sales industry as well. I am running for the state Senate because I'm concerned with where our state is headed. I'm concerned with the livelihood of the people in Owasco if the energy crisis goes the way it is. It was just proposed in New York and Albany to take away your ability to heat your homes, fossil fuel hookups starting in 2026, fossil fuel and existing construction starting in 2030, take away your ability to have gas, diesel trucks and vehicles in 2035. Cayuga County, including Owasco, is the #2 biggest agricultural county in all of New York State. That is going to be detrimental to the people here, and we have one election left to get it right. New York has a supermajority by 1 seat. We win the seat here and we can be able to stand up for the people that are here. #2, I want to be able to speak on the fire department. As I go all across Cayuga and Onondaga County, I hear that recruitment is down. People are leaving the state. We're leading an outward migration. Part of that is that there's no incentives really offered for our firemen. They only get $200 a year. That is wrong and not acceptable. I want to increase that from $200 to $600 to be able to treat our firefighters with the dignity and respect that they deserve. And the last thing I want to talk about is constituent services. Currently, as it stands, I hear complaints all the time that your representative doesn't come out here. I mean, I don't know if your senator has ever come to a town board meeting before. I don't know if she's ever answered your phone calls, your emails, your messages, your concerns during COVID lockdown. I'm here for the people of Owasco. I'm not just here for the people in Auburn. I'm not just here for the people of Syracuse. I'm here for the people of the big towns, and the small towns. And with that, I am going to stick around towards the end of the meeting to answer any questions that you have here. I humbly and graciously ask for the opportunity to serve the people of Owasco and the New York State Senate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You picked a good meeting to come to. Normally, there's like one person.
And it's Bob.
It was fall. Where's my crowd?
Oh, Bob.
So good, all right. Good. Would anybody else like to speak?
Yes. Yes, hi, my name's Kevin Flitzak. Here also with Jamie Rigby on behalf of several other of the Owasco contingency. What we'd like to bring up this afternoon is to propose something to the board to come to some sort of a resolution to allow the use of golf carts in some way, shape, or form in the town. The main purpose of this is several people do own golf carts for the purpose of getting and using them on the golf course. It is our hope that we can form a committee along with and work in unison with the council to look at and research, come up with solutions to make it a safe, proper way for golf carts to be used for the purpose of getting from one's residence to the golf course. Golf course does bring in a significant amount of revenue to the town. Several of us are members. Property values have increased in the town as a result of the golf course. I feel like with people moving in as it being a desired location to live. That is something that we would much like to pursue, and we're asking, thank you again for the time today, but we're asking to move forward. Form a committee to figure out collectively how we could get to some sort of a resolution here.
My name is Jamie Rigby. I live at 8 Morningside Drive, been a resident here since 2010 at Morningside Drive. On your website, you guys posted like a bunch of things about what could make it approvable, but what would not. And 4 big things that actually stood out was cost of the actual signage, for example. If we all pay a permit for, say, it's 25 golf carts at $100 a year, it's $2,500. That should be well enough money to put half a dozen signs in the yards dictating where we can go. Another thing was about that the town wasn't able to issue permits for county and state roads. We want no part of the county or state roads. All we want is a few select roads within the town. Morningside, Meadow, Fairway, Cut Across Striker, Hit Green Links. Down that one, I got the name of the road there, over where the Mays live in that area to get access to the golf course, excuse me. Another thing, so we're not looking for the whole entire town, this specific tiny roads only, just to get access to there. Another thing is that all these golf carts are fully insured. You have to be fully insured in order to drive your own golf cart onto the golf course. We had to prove that to the actual golf course in order to drive it over there. Other thing is that we're gonna make sure, I think the biggest problem that we have was there's a lot of 12-year-old kids that were driving around, tearing up the Owasco Fire Department's, or whatever it was, the mulch that they just put down. Everybody has to be 16 or above, have a driver's license to operate the actual golf cart at this point in time. So we're trying to make sure we know before we got to figure about the past, let's move forward. Just no minors driving carts. There was an issue where someone said that there was a 12-year-old kid flipped off the crossing guard on his golf cart. I know the crossing guard. I insure the crossing guard. I asked her what happened. She goes, he never flipped me off. I walked over and slapped him if he did. She's great. Mrs. Downey's awesome. So, you know, but all these things that add up, we're not asking for a ton of things. We're just asking for adults. And I've been driving since I was 16. I'll be 50 years old this year. Literally we're just asking for a small little area that we can operate the golf carts to and from the golf course. Again, there's not going to be any type of underage drivers driving the golf carts. All of our golf carts, just so you know, they're not like normal golf carts. They have headlights, taillights, they have mirrors, they have horns, they have literally everything that you're looking for versus what you could say, why don't you just go out and purchase a low-speed vehicle? Well, they're out there, but our golf carts have exactly the same thing they do, except for seatbelts for the most part and a full windshield. So other counties allow permits for golf carts at this point in time. We're just asking for a small piece for us as well. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Would anybody else like to speak?
Joshua Chiz, 38 Adams Ave. That's all you need from me, right?
Yeah.
All right. And wanted to let you know, and of course the public know that I'm threw my hat in the ring for Cuyahoga County Legislature. I'm gonna be running for Cuyahoga County Legislature. My new #1 agenda item is to legalize golf carts. In reality, one of my main things is we're not native to here. We grew up 45 minutes away, but we love Owasco. We love this community. And we do want it to be family friendly. We want it to be a place that our kids want to be. And it hit home, it's hitting home for me. This summer, I've got 2 boys moving out of state. And I wish they weren't. I want this to be a place that they want to be. I want New York to be a place they want to be. And I want to do all I can to make that happen. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be fighting for that. I'm going to be running for Owasco and Senate. It's the new District 5. It used to be District 6. Would appreciate certainly any support, but I want you to know that I'm here for you as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on behalf of the people? Would any of the board members like to make any comments at this time? Is there any interest of people going forward with a committee to look at possible rules and restrictions and locations of where, if any, golf carts could be used in the town of Owasco?
I don't think that's the question, actually, just to clarify what the issue is the last meeting, we took no action at all. We didn't say you can't use your golf cart. We said that we are not interested in passing any kind of local law, which means that the town of Owasco, like every other town, would be governed by the existing law, and you would operate however you want to operate at your own risk to, within existing law. We didn't say anything about you can't do this or you can't do that. You can do the same thing today as you can do yesterday. You just have to obey the law. So the question I think that the board is being asked is anybody after hearing what we've heard today, does anybody want to make a motion to establish a committee to move forward with that?
Right.
I have no problem with the committee. But I think we could stay status quo. I mean, nobody bothers anybody when you're on the road. You're not gonna go on a major highway. We all have little carts and we all ride around. And, as long as we do it very gingerly and we obey all the laws, we don't bother the neighbors. I've been driving mine for years. And, no one bothers us. Why upset the apple cart? Just recently, which I don't like, there's I think I was out of state when I read this. There was a bride and groom just got married. You guys probably read about it too, and some drunken driver come up behind them and clobbered them. That's the only thing you gotta be careful with. And it was around the golf course, I think. I really don't have a problem with what everybody's doing, and the sheriff isn't bothering anybody unless you do something wrong. I don't know, do you guys wanna open up a can of worms?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm Greg Daly, 6 Meadow Lane. I guess part of what we're asking in order to form the committee and keep the status quo, because I understand it's no surprise that people have been operating golf carts for years. But we're asking for not have to worry about the sheriff department. I have noticed an increased sheriff's patrol in the area after the 12-year-old that the juvenile delinquent, if you want to call it a person, created a mess at one of the locations. But so anytime that home rule and local ordinance can be established to circumvent or with the support of state law, I think that's something that we should take a look at seriously. A lot of our governing happens from downstate, so you have the ability to make us not a target if we're operating the golf cart in a responsible manner to and from. So we can keep that status quo going, but we can do it with your blessing, and then also to free up the sheriff's department from having to worry about adults operating responsibly versus children doing something that they shouldn't be doing anyway. Even if you did an ordinance, you'd have to be 14 years. We're advocating for adults with licenses, so we can be more restrictive than what New York State could be. But I think it's a great opportunity for a local municipality to take the reins and make decisions that's in the best interest of the population. And then with respect to one other thing that I wanted to mention, just with respect to the speed limit in those two areas, I know that people were worried that golf carts might go a little too slow. I haven't gone more than 20 miles an hour in my neighborhood, and another committee we can, or if that golf cart committee comes up, maybe we can consider reducing the speed limit in those two areas based on the curves in the roads and the number of kids that play. So it's just another thing to be considered, but yeah, I would look for the town to support us so we can continue on doing enjoying upstate New York in the summer. Thank you.
That's great.
Anybody else like to make a comment?
I don't have a problem with the committee.
No.
You want to make that in the form of a motion?
I would move that we form a committee composed of member or members of town council and specific number of interested residents to talk about, and it doesn't hurt to talk about concerns. I think I learned a couple of things today that maybe it might be beneficial.
The one thing I want to warn the public on is that even though a committee may come up with recommendations to the board, it'd be ultimately up to the board to make that final decision. And based on past experiences, especially with something this complex, because especially if we're going to establish new rules, age limits, locations, crossing over public roads. The issue is maps. How do we separate the avenues? Last month, there were two parents from the avenues that want it. So how do we not include the avenues? How do we not, just doing the development may be an issue. The other thing is how we're gonna manage it. If you're lucky enough to come in and work with Tammy, I mean, she's going nonstop from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock when she leaves and hardly takes a lunch. Unless her brother brings it to her for free. Having your registration process in place, having a fee structure in place, having, the county road, which is Oak Ridge, I don't know how you're gonna get to the main golf course without going onto the golf course through someone's private yard to get on there. Oak Ridge is a county road, and this would be exempt from county roads and state roads. So
There's a vacant lot on Green Lakes that everybody uses as a cross through that owner.
until they build a house, until they,
Or
I think he just passed away, didn't he?
I think that,
Yeah,
I think that we gotta, that if Tony made a motion, we gotta get a second and have discussion.
Yep.
Before we can,
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Right.
Okay.
we're
Discussion.
ready for discussion now?
Yep.
All right. So we went over this last month and I'm gonna be real honest with everybody. There is absolutely nothing that a committee would come up with that would change my mind in the slightest about this for a number of reasons. One, the evidence is very clear. The most recent study that I found was done in Louisiana, 2020. And it was on this issue specifically, and it was a peer-reviewed paper that talked about the dangerousness of putting low-speed vehicles on roads in communities that weren't specifically designed for it. In Florida, where communities are specifically designed around the use of golf carts and their specific lanes, or Arizona, or any of these other places where it is designed, where the engineer that designed the community said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make these allowances in our design to allow for these vehicles to be used on our roads, then given a bunch of other parameters, it makes sense. Trying to redesign a community that was not designed for it, there is no way to make it safe. And to Ed's point, I don't think that we can just say we're gonna pass a local law to allow people in this area or this area to have this benefit and not the people on the town roads in other parts of the town. So there's a difficulty there. I think that if you look at the research, it's not even, I mean, if a golf cart gets in an accident with a car, the person on the golf cart loses. That's just the way that it works. If a golf cart gets in an accident on their own, on a paved roadway, the person on the golf cart loses. There are more serious and fatal injuries in golf cart accidents on roadways where no other vehicle is even involved, because people come off the golf cart and hit their head on a hard surface and they get injured and die. So there is so much on the opposite side of this issue that we would have to take into consideration. We'd have to take into consideration not just you can drive here, but not only can you drive here, but you can't drive somebody. I'm trying to get in here. But you can't drive here. You can't drive on Oak Ridge Road. You can't drive on Melrose Road. You can't drive. These are places that you can't drive. I think that if you want to attract the attention of law enforcement to this issue, then we move forward with this, because then there's a local law that the sheriff's office can come in, or not just the sheriff's office, but the state police can come in and say the people aren't following it the way that it was designed, and they're actually driving on Melrose Road or Oak Ridge Road or these other places. It shines a light on the issue. And the best case scenario, if we had the support of the board to move forward with this, I think this is a 2-year project to get through, because there's issues of liability. We've already had conversations with our insurance provider, who isn't in favor of us moving forward with this. So we would be going against the advice of them to move forward with this, which puts us in a situation of liability moving forward, because now we've done something that our insurance people said, that's a bad idea, you shouldn't do that. So I think it would be irresponsible of the board to move forward on this. If we did, the only thing that I would be potentially in favor of at the end of some analysis would be, and I think Jeremy had mentioned this to me earlier, that if you want something, put it up to the entire town as a referendum of some sort, put it up to the entire town and see what the entire town thinks, maybe and maybe that's a situation where, we put something on the next ballot saying, is anybody interested in moving forward with something like this? But that's my thoughts.
In my opinion, if we're going to move forward and ultimately approve it, that this is a thing that the voters should be approving at this point. Over the last year, I received a significant amount of complaints regarding golf carts from all over the town. People have just been complaining to me about it. And then over the last month, now there's been a large showing of support. So clearly there's a large amount of people on both sides. And if we choose to do a committee, I believe a proposition put at the ballot is the appropriate way to pass this. Let the people in the town who are ultimately affected, because everyone's going to be affected by this at some point. They're going to have new objects in the road they have to navigate around. There's some people that just don't like it one bit. There's other people that clearly want it. I understand that you have been operating the golf carts, and there's New York State vehicle and traffic law that dictates how you should be operating it, and it's your responsibility to know those laws. But if we're gonna make a law at the local level, I think this is definitely a valid proposition.
Yeah, I would agree that in order to bring it to a proposition, you'd have to have rules and regs
Yeah,
already.
yeah, it needs to be all
established and keep it
defined.
Well, we
defined.
wouldn't be here talking about this had we not got complaints or concerns of
100%.
it's dangerous.
Yeah,
Dangerous operation of golf carts. So if nothing, we're trying to raise awareness of how to properly.
how to properly use
Operate.
the golf cart on the road. I mean, that started all this essentially.
Yeah, and Jeremy speaks on behalf not only of town council, but he's the fire chief here locally, so he's the yeah,
Safety aspect of it. too,
safety
yeah.
aspect, and I would hate to have one of your ambulance go into a scene to try to revive someone from a accident.
One
Yeah,
question,
sure.
how many of those complaints were about underage drivers? Just curious.
Oh, all of them.
All, yeah.
All of them.
But that checks the box.
Yeah.
Everybody's gotta be 16 or above. With a license, that should get rid of all the 12 and 10-year-olds there.
Yeah, but we
It's
still
not,
have to enforce all the people operating it to ensure that they are legally allowed to do so. So, right now, the law enforcement is responsible for, enforcing vehicle and traffic law, existing vehicle and traffic law. If we make our own law now, the town is bearing the burden of the enforcement of that.
So my question back to you would be, how many of you got pulled over by law enforcement in the last 5 years with golf carts?
right, it just doesn't happen because they're there.
Sure.
I was outside, so I must have missed this, but Fred, you were saying, did you say that the town did not make a rule that we could not drive golf carts? So that did not happen?
That don't happen.
Because on the Facebook page, and I don't know who operates this.
I operate it, but I don't operate it and put up my own words. I was told what to say.
Okay, because I'm just looking at
So,
it, and
yeah.
on April 17th, the title says golf carts not allowed, and then it
Yeah,
goes into a long thing, so I think that we as.
we talked
Yeah.
about that after the fact, and I appreciate
Okay.
you bringing that up. That is that was, I think, a very confusing thing put on the website, and we actually had some communication about it shortly after it got posted.
Okay,
And in the future, I think we've talked about maybe having some checks and balances on maybe things.
I did not put.
I'm not
those
saying,
words.
I'm not.
I
It's
didn't put those
just,
words. I was given those words.
the communication could have been better. That's.
Yeah.
it's not the town's position, official position.
The town's position is the law is the law, what it is right now, like what it always has been, and nothing has changed.
So it sounds like it's just status quo, and
Yes.
why would we come to you and try to make all of these rules? When, I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, and
Basically, what the
It's
sheriff said
working,
to me as
whatever's
well.
happening out there is working.
Right.
and
So
the,
we bring lights
Kind of
to
explain what
it.
the law is now, to the best of your, I hate to put you in the spot, but you have the background.
well, I mean,
It's actually clarified in an email we talked about in the last meeting.
I'll let Jeremy talk about it from the email that we got, but just to the point that was made in the back here a second ago, the idea that making a law makes it so that people won't do something that they've been doing is like, talking about, it's silly, because the law says that kids can't do it right now. So us making a new law on top of the existing law that says, not only does the state say you can't do it, but now the town of Owasco also says you can't do it. Kids are still gonna do it if their parents allow them to do it. That's the reality of it. Making a new law that says you have to be 16 now to operate a golf cart on it. It will affect nothing as far as that goes, nothing, because it's just silly, because there's a law right now, and that's where our complaints come from. It's like saying if you make a guns illegal, we'll never have a shooting.
Let me see.
I think people were here on the premise that the town had made an official statement, because it was public on Facebook and there was no retraction to that. So
And
I think had we not seen that, we probably wouldn't be here today.
I think you're probably right.
So,
All we said was that we're just following existing laws that's in place. We didn't take any
There's
action
no action
whatsoever.
taken. Yeah,
so the only other thing I was gonna say is we have noticed, and I think Jamie mentioned this, an uptick in patrolling with the sheriff. So I know that there is there's some closeness with the fire department and the sheriff's department. I mean, have you guys requested that?
No, the parents of the children that came forth to us last month felt that their area was being unfairly targeted for patrols for golf carts.
I see.
And our statement was, if you feel that way, contact the sheriff's agency and let them know that, if, however you feel.
Right.
And basically their feeling was that other areas were not getting patrolled as fairly.
Okay,
So,
But I know last year my
Yeah.
niece got pulled over in one of the tracks, so it's, they've been pulling people over periodically. I think last year I was aware of 2 or 3. This year I've been aware of 2 that got pulled over so far.
okay,
So, and that's because, there were,
That's their doing, not ours.
yeah.
okay.
yeah.
I think, and my last thing, and I know that many of us feel this way who do drive golf carts, is that, we understand the frustrations and the complaints of like children driving these cars. It is dangerous. We've seen it. I've seen it. I don't condone it. I've never been happy about it. So, I don't want you guys to think that we are,
No,
think that this should be a free for all.
and I don't think that, I was pretty aggressive as a police officer for a long time. And I never wrote a ticket to a guy on a golf court with golf bags in the back of the car. It just didn't, it never happened because it wouldn't have because why? It makes no sense.
Right.
If somebody's acting like a jerk, and that's what causes the problem. And I don't look out on anybody in this room and see anybody that's gonna behave that way, So I don't think I really apologize on the town's behalf for the miscommunication on the web page. That I apologize for that. And it was just worded badly and, and water into the bridge. But there's been we've made no request for law enforcement intervention. We've made no pact with the sheriff's office or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I can tell you that the sheriff's office, when I was there, at least, and in a command position, we would have been like, can we just get as far away from this issue as we
Right.
possibly can? So.
Yeah, so with that said, because the communication did come to us stating that we can't do it, there's gonna be something.
Well, legally you can't do it.
Yeah, I know, okay, but couldn't we put just, we're following the law, but and the parents are irresponsible parents and allow their kids to do it, right?
Yes.
That's
So
correct.
The law is the law, it's 16, right?
No,
14.
It's.
Yeah.
no, the law is you cannot drive. a
You can't drive,
Golf
low
cart.
speed vehicles are different than golf carts. Low speed vehicles that have a license plate on them. That's basically the difference. If you can register the vehicle and have it be on some, higher end golf carts, I know that there's a county court judge that loves his low speed vehicle. So that's legal, that's within the bounds of the law. Other than that, driving on a roadway, on a public roadway with a vehicle that is, the things have changed so much, but basically, if you're not able to register it, you should be driving kind of parallel to the roadway, in the lane of traffic. Going across the road is a different story, but again, if I would be very surprised if anybody got pulled over with bags in the back of their car.
So can we retract our request to form a committee, because I don't think.
You don't want to waste your time?
Well, I think it pokes the bear.
Yeah, I agree.
What if you put a triangle sign on like a tractor and a hole in the back?
Not,
If it meets DOT requirements for it,
yeah, but I don't think anybody's, in my conversation,
they left.
yeah, with my conversations with the sheriffs, I don't think that you've got anything to worry about. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys.
See you later.
Well, Caleb wants to talk to you, don't leave.
Want to talk about golf?
You want to sit, you want to draw your motion?
It-
I think that one guy was.
Stimulated.
Exciting stuff.
I think that gentleman still wants to talk to us.
Yes, yeah.
I remember I talked to you about the speeding up on 12 Corners Road.
Yep.
Nothing's been done and they're still flying down through there. I don't know how they make the turn on 12 Corner Road.
In the hamlet.
12 corner.
Yeah,
So the speed limit there is what, 30?
30.
30, and you believe that people are going faster
Yeah.
than 30, which is probably true.
You can see, almost like you can see the skid marks.
So I'll tell you the way that the sheriff's office operated before and the way they operate now. If you call with a complaint like that, if you call and ask to speak to the lieutenant in charge of patrol, okay, who as of today is Glenn Dudley, in about a month it'll be Matt Sloan, then they will put it on a list and send it out to patrol for specific targeted enforcement.
Yeah.
And they'll go and they'll actually call you if you make the complaint, and the sheriff is very big on community interaction. If you make the complaint, and you leave your name, they'll have the deputy call you and say, okay, is there any specific times? Is there any information that you can give them? And then, is there any specific place that you think we should be sitting or anything like that? And they will make an effort to address it. That I think is your best bet.
Yeah.
Because they'll do that.
Yeah, I called and,
The speed, do they put that up there?
Honestly, coming from you would be better than coming from Ed. Because the community, Ed's just a politician, all right? The community member making a request to the sheriff's office is gonna hold more weight.
Yeah. Definitely call.
Bob. Are the speed sensors, speed sensor signs don't work. They work for one day and that's
What's
it.
wrong with them?
Do they work or no?
Yeah, we just bought 2 new batteries today. And,
What's-
we put them down on Argent Street, that's Peggy Dickens complaining, people are speeding up and down. She's called the sheriff and he hasn't done nothing yet. You know,
It's all over though. I mean,
Can-
avenues are.
Yeah, Oak
Yeah,
Ridge
it's-
Oak Ridge is like a
Yeah,
freeway.
it's also they have a limited law enforcement presence, they don't have manpower,
You
so.
only could be so many
Yeah.
places at one time.
But
So I will definitely call again too, if you want to call as well, and give them a specific location, tell them you can park in your driveway, and that's usually they do that,
So
but then you target.
I'll reach out as well, but it really holds a lot of weight coming from a community member. You said, Bob, Archie was a place that.
they just paved
We've
this
had
out
some-
the speed.
the other day they ran over that,
The little walk-in person.
yeah, they're concerned with people parking across the street and the people are using the crosswalk to cross,
The greenhouse people, this is a busy time of the year too.
It is very busy.
Yeah.
Do they put speed bumps?
Oh, you're speeding through there?
Um,
Wow.
They knocked over the.
Oh, yeah,
that's-
there's a lot of pedestrian traffic. in that area.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Okay, so we're still open. Anybody else want to talk? No.
Be on there.
You're more than welcome to stick around.
Just, Tony withdrew his motion.
Yeah. Okay. We should have more communications like that to get more people. That's right.
I think we're gonna put up something, after this meeting that we outlawed ice cream.
Yeah.
There you go. You did what?
No ice cream.
Gavano will be the first one there.
Specifically soft serve.
Now the question.
Come, we'll get a small comment, screenshot or something.
You're right.
People read your Facebook page.
Yeah,
Yeah, true, that is true.
that is good.
So, okay, now under communications, which there's a schedule for proposed public hearing. I put Tom was gracious enough to give us a schedule of what we need to do in order to do our public hearing for the solar. So I put on our communications so everybody knows we're gonna have to have a couple special board meetings coming up just to do a timely fashion for our solar law to get it done in a expeditious way. So, okay. So Tom, did you want to talk at all?
Really?
Not really, okay.
Can I just ask one question regarding the timeline here? So it says June 15th, County General Municipal Law 239 Committee.
Yeah.
We must wait. So what does that mean
We gotta wait for the decision,
At the-
affirmative decision,
at the county level?
yes.
And what effect, if they, based on their decision, is that on us?
If they object to it, then you gotta have like a super majority.
Okay, all right. I just wanted,
That provision.
I just did-
Tom, anything else?
Well, that's for the Band-Aid amendment for the special use permits. The solar law has already been reviewed by the 239 committee and it's been deemed to be of local importance only, so there's no recommendations. No problem with the draft solar law. Since the time that the counties looked at it, we've done some tweaking and renumbering, so I'd like to kick it back to them anyway, but David Nelson, who's working with you on your rezone committee, we've had a conference call with him this week. And the issue is here in Owasco, you have your special use permit review at the ZBA. And many communities have it at the planning level because your planning board professionals go do some very specific training. Oftentimes on special use permits. So my understanding is Owasco is headed in the direction of having the planning board do the special use permits. So the revisions to your zoning code regarding solar have already been drafted with the planning board being the issuing agency for special use permits on solar. In order for that, when you adopt that law, we have to have your zoning, your underlying zoning code set up that way. So David Nelson has agreed at no extra cost to the town under the retainer he already has with you guys to assist with what we call a Band-Aid amendment to your zoning law. Tweaking any place in your zoning law that has special use permit, ZBA, changing it to special use permit planning board. That local law needs to be submitted to the 239 committee, and that's the date on the 15th for that local law. So you're gonna have these companion laws. And we're gonna try to push it all, and I'll try to get the revisions to the solar law back in front of 239 in case they want to say anything. So they'll have both of them. When they come back with that final, local determination only, then you'll be all set to go. You'll hit all your technical hurdles, and you'll be ready to hold your final enactment vote. I guess I did want to talk.
Yeah,
I wanted to learn, so
yeah.
like this part of this, I've never been through zoning.
So we got a
thing, so-
special meeting on the 25th?
So, yep. So we're gonna have, so today is the 11th, so we're reviewing, adopting the introductory resolution for solar law and revisions to the code. And then open a public hearing today. So that's what we're going to do today. And then next Thursday, or in 2 weeks, town board special meeting to introductory resolution to the revisions of the zoning code. Okay. 4 o'clock. So, and then the 8th will be the regular town board meeting, then the 15th will be waiting for the decision to come back. And we'll have a meeting then.
When?
On the
When it comes back?
Yeah, so we'll have a meeting.
22nd.
22nd is our meeting, because they're meeting on the 15th, correct?
And then you guys will be ready to enact both of the laws if you find that to be necessary.
Yep. So any other questions on that schedule?
No.
Okay. So I wanted to put it in writing so you had it. Since Tom went through the effort of putting it together for us. It makes it for me to remember. So
Both of those meetings will be at 4 o'clock.
they open a public hearing. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for local law number 2?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, all those in favor of opening a public hearing?
Aye.
All right, good. Okay, now we have to introducing the local law number 2. So is there a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So very briefly, local law number 2 is an amendment to your zoning code. We work with general code to set up the sections. What's being introduced in Owasco to refresh everybody, because not everybody was able to make every meeting, is a solar overlay district. When somebody wants to come and put a tier 3, there's small scale solar, tier 1, tier 2 is on farm solar or a little bit bigger. For tier 3, which is the big solar farms, 25 megawatts or more,
the proposal is that they have to come in and do a solar overlay district. They make application to the town board because it's such a significant project. It should probably sit with the legislative body. So what would have to happen is they would come in, they'd have to comply with all kinds of criteria for a large solar farm in this community. Staying away from steep slopes, prime soils, all the stuff that we've talked about for a while, and ask you for a zone change. Not enough to just get a special permit. They've got to ask for a zone change to a solar energy system overlay district. If you grant that, you have to update your zoning map. You get a new color. They'll get a color across it. Your engineer will put cross hatches on there, a certain color. That's it. They're changing their zoning for that purpose for the 40 acres or whatever the case may be. The beauty of this is, and you'll be the first community with this in the Finger Lakes region. This is it's not an unheard of concept, but there's only about one community, two communities downstate that use it right now. And I've talked to them. NYSERDA recognizes this. Bless you. NYSERDA actually has it in their model laws that this is something that municipalities could look at. It's something I'm introducing in other communities here in Cayuga County and the Finger Lakes region, including in Senate. I think it's a great tool because the decision-making rests with the legislative body. And you folks are elected purportedly because you probably have been around the longest, or you've been through the boards, or you're very well trusted by your constituents. So because solar and some of the visual impacts and other impacts have such a drastic, potential impact on certain properties, many of my colleagues, including the folks in county planning, feel that it's an appropriate tool. You guys, we've explained it, we've talked about it, you guys felt it's an appropriate tool. So that's what we're talking about. And that's just for the tier 3. That's the big, massive solar farms. Tier 1 and tier 2, you can do on building, on house, accessory structures, farms, other ones, lower level, whole different set of rules, local decision making at the planning board. Okay. So that local law is on your desks as of today, and I'm handing Tammy one just because it's right off the presses with all the new numbering from Barton and LaJudas and general code getting together. It's creating a new chapter or two in your existing zoning code. You have sections that are already reserved in there. It's just filling those in a bit. Okay. So we're introducing that. I took the liberty of doing some draft resolutions. Those have today's date, May 11th on them. If you want to pass those down. Yep. That's a proposed resolution. All this does. So we're in the public hearing right now. That's fine. And my recommendation is we don't close the public hearing today. We continue it to the next meeting. Because typically we want to get the 239 decision, or we want to get after the law is introduced, we want people in the community to be able to comment on it, and we want them to be able to talk during the public hearing down the road. So it would be great if we could continue that on for the next meeting. In this proposed resolution, you'll see certain parameters in there that deal with the town's board appointing itself as lead agency for secret purposes. You got to do an environmental review. It classifies this local law amendment as a type 1, which requires that a full environmental assessment form be filled out, which we have filled out, and we'll ask Ed to sign that so we can have that as part of the file. It also contemplates setting up the date of the continued public hearing. And just handles all that housekeeping in one resolution. So that's your proposed introductory resolution. After you hold your public hearing and when you're ready to vote, what we'll do is we'll bring in an enactment resolution for you. We'll do a seeker resolution, so you can vote on seeker and whether or not this has small environmental impacts or large, huge environmental impacts. We'll do a seeker resolution, and separately we'll do an enactment resolution. So this is just the start. It's your introductory resolution, sets the public hearing, names yourself the lead agency for seeker, classifies it as a type 1 action, and it also kicks this over to 239 for review. That's all that resolution is. And unless you have any questions about it, it really just needs somebody to move it, second, discuss it, the whole thing, and then a vote.
I'll make a move.
Second.
Any discussion?
One of us needs to give it a number.
Is this the same, Tim? as-
I know, that's what.
Maybe,
no,
I think we just-
I was telling you, I brought 7 copies
Yeah,
because
I
the
think
one
we-
that
I
you
think
had
we already
yesterday
did.
just
We
had
already
May
voted on
10th on it. It's
Yeah,
May
we already
11th.
did it.
You already
So that's the only thing.
It's
you
the only
changed.
change.
Oh, okay, so the only
I
change is
corrected,
the
I
date.
corrected a date on it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
That's,
all right.
Okay, so we already passed it, so. we're good.
For some reason, I had May 10th on there. Yeah, I brought one.
Oh,
that said May
and
11th.
we do it a little different, so I
Yeah.
didn't even have that top on there, because we do
Yeah.
the,
Oh, okay, but
Yeah, we do.
all through, we had May 10th, like down here, we had May
okay.
10th,
that's
we had
just-
May
okay,
10th
that's
here.
nice. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just clerk certified.
So now that
Okay.
we have this, then we can give out to the public, the people come in, they can see this, you know.
That local law, if you're ready to go, you can scan it, put it on your website, do whatever you want with it.
Okay, all right.
That's what we're looking for.
I know I've got people waiting to see that, so
Yeah.
now that it's official,
Sure.
we'll share it with everybody.
And if you guys want changes, at the next meeting during the public hearing, we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll make changes.
Okay,
I will say, a gentleman did call yesterday, and he wanted to know how much the permit fee was, because he was bidding on the Melrose Solar Farm. And I said, I do not feel that that's been established, the board is working on it now, and, you know.
The last meeting, the last call we had, Patrick Doyle had committed to working with Barton and LaJudas to figure out what the proper permitting fees should be so you guys can update your fee schedule. Yeah.
okay.
I think he was a little surprised when I said, I don't, there's not a, and he said, well, it's not passed, and I said, no, they're still working on
Okay,
it, so. he was bidding.
Yep.
Question,
So
so under this, what you're approving zoning board to have carte blanche over this of approval, or are you setting parameters?
No, it's,
I think 1 and 2 will be only
33 pages, I think.
It's a planning.
Yeah, I
think we
planning.
For only 3,
1 and 2.
1 and 2, okay.
Any questions from the board?
And this is just an introduction of the law. It's gonna take some time before it'll be adopted. There might be changes to it.
All right, so this isn't saying that
This is
solar
the-
farms are coming, this is just saying that.
We
Well,
got-
they're knocking at your door and they've been knocking.
We have to wait for public input, and then we also have to wait for people from the solar
Just
community
because someone
to
wants
give
it,
their
doesn't mean
input
they
as
can
well.
get it. So,
That's.
there's a pretty involved document that's been being worked on to.
Well, 7 months now.
A lot of process.
Yeah, we've been working on it for a while. Okay, so we already approved it, so we're good to go, so.
Introduce, I will refer for 239. I will get you guys the FEAF for Ed's signature, so because we're gonna need that to refer it to 239. I can do that tomorrow. Off we go.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, good. All right, next resolution is to authorize me to sign agreement between Barton and Judas for the Owasco Sewer District 1 reduction project dated May 11th. Everybody got a copy of that in the mail? Can I get a motion for discussion?
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I just got this 2 days ago. I have done a skim of it all, but I don't feel comfortable yet to be able to vote on it. I would like to read it, and I have questions regarding this project.
Is there any reason why it needs to be done this month? Can we put it off till next month?
Yeah, I'd like to sit down. Now that we're in, I didn't realize this was coming so quickly. I've been given like a 10,000 foot view of the whole project. I just have some questions, that's all.
Sure.
I feel more comfortable reading it and then asking you. Maybe the questions are answered in the document, but
I would move that we table to the next meeting.
That's fine. Any second?
Second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, next resolution is to approve the hiring by summer help at the request of the highway superintendent for the playground and highway department at $20 an hour, not to exceed 360 hours, which is 8 weeks, 40 hours a week.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Next thing is to approve the annual 2022 town justice audit.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Everybody got copies of that?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next thing is to approve the town clerk audit.
Second.
Mike's got Fred second. You beat you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next one is the audit and payment of claims.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Trying to think, is there anything I need to talk to anybody about, give you an update on? Can't,
Just what we talked about, I did speak with Mr. Galbato, and he's gonna work on getting that survey and
okay, yeah,
stuff taken care of for the Hamlet
Good,
playground.
perfect.
Oh, playground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the property swap.
We just talked briefly before the meeting, and I thought Michael O'Neill, since he's the one, he
Sure,
did
yeah.
it like a year, is that okay with you?
Yeah, yeah,
The board?
yeah.
Okay.
And I had shared a communication from the fire commissioner. With, there's just a couple of requests of like assurance that the town will take action on it, things like that, so we need to do that still.
Right.
And if there's any questions, like I said in the email, please direct them towards the Board of Fire Commissioners, they're in charge of the property, so.
Before we adjourn, Dale, if you know how to clear a room, don't you?
I guess so.
Josh, good to see you. All right, a motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Second.